It's Monday morning and I'm in the yard, and today we are testing Chieftain gearboxes. We have about 11 that we've bought over the years, all unknown. We don't know if we've got any that actually work. Some are seized up, some are missing some parts. So what we're just going to do is start going through them and seeing which ones are good, and the ones that aren't, we're going to then take them to pieces. And we now have a company that can reline the bands, and we've just got a set coming for one that we've got in bits in the other workshop. So today we're working on this one here. This was overhauled by Avro at Bovington in 1996. So around the time that they actually got rid of the Chieftain is around that sort of time they were actually disposing of them. So I don't imagine this gearbox has done a lot. I can't remember now when I got it, where I got it from. Some of them I even got out of skips that they were just going to scrap them. I said, no, don't do that, because you can't get Chieftain gearboxes. They're like hen's teeth. It's a David Brown TN12 gearbox. It's semi-automatic. It's basically electronically controlled. If you look at the back here, it's a bit like a motorcycle. When you're in the Chieftain, you click up to go up the gears and you click down to go down the gears with your heel. And what actually happens, it works these series of valves. And what it is, there's 3 gears and then there's a high and a low. So what happens is you go 1 to 3 and then it clicks down and then it's in high range, and then you do the same 3 again, and then you've got reverse and high-speed reverse. And what this is actually doing is working a valve body, which then works hydraulic pistons, which are in this part here, then push down and then clamp the bands inside. There's a series of bands. It clamps the bands around a series of different size epicyclics, lots of words here, and each band will lock down, say, first gear, and then when you let off, that ram lets off and you'll go into second, it'll push the next gear down, and then it ups the output or lowers the output, and the output is this gear here, if you see. And don't ask me how the neutral turn works, because I haven't got a clue, but these vehicles can also neutral turn, so without any of the gear bands being locked in, just the engine spinning, you can actually get it to turn round on the spot. Now how that works I'm not entirely sure, but we have got one in bits, and we'll probably learn about that together in a future video. So today we've come up with this ingenious plan of making a test rig, and we'll show you what we've got so far. So what we've thought is we could fit the flex plate off the L60, the Leyland engine that they should couple to in the tank, and then we're going to convert it to a 540 spline agricultural tractor PTO shaft, and then with a shaft we can then test these with a tractor and see if it's going actually through the gears. Now we actually can't put load on it because we're not connected to the tracks, but we're hoping that you'll be able to hear it change the gears. It shall physically make the gearbox move. Then we'll know that the actual bands are working, releasing and unreleasing as they should. But we'll show you what we've had made by our friends at Harper Engineering just the other day. Ignore that. That's the pump motor off the D9 that we're having rebuilt. So this is what we've had made. Now that is the 540 agricultural PTO shaft that we've stolen off my dad's mower, and this is the flywheel off the L60 engine. We've had this machine down so that fits nicely in there, and our idea is that will go like that, and then that will go like that, and we'll put four bolts through there. This will then bolt to the gearbox, and then we've got a test thing. Now we have got one slight problem with this. The gearbox on the Chieftain turns the opposite way to a tractor PTO, which has flawed the plan slightly. Now, not the end of the world, because the front PTO on the tractor works the way that we want. However, we don't have a tractor here with front PTO, and my friend is busy until this weekend, and we're eager to try one today, so we've come up with an ulterior option. Okay, so using the Mercedes C-Class as our power source, we've got it resting on the forklift tines and gently on the top of the flywheel. This way we can hopefully do our test to see if this gearbox is any good. Now what we're going to do is get it spinning up, and what you'll find is, come here, this part here, when the engine's ticking over, As you see, it's just running freely. What that's doing is working a oil pump, which is working because water's just come out of that hole. We're probably going to have to tighten that bolt up. So that's got the gear pump inside working and pumping the oil around. And when the revs increase, it's got a centrifugal clutch, which is that part there. And what we're hoping for is that to activate and then start spinning. Now when the centrifugal clutch engages, then the output should start moving on their own free will, and then we'll start fiddling with the valve control. I think that filter could be loose, but see what happens. Give her a bit of revs. There we go. Centrifugal clutch is engaged. And notice how the output shaft is spinning opposite to the disc.
That pipe's had enough.
That pipe's leaking. Okay. Is that in parts?
In parts.
That was just weeping a bit. Are you sure that's tight? It's not weeping bad. Well, that seemed quite successful.
It made a whirring noise as well.
So now we need to work out, simulate. Oh, that was a bit rude. We need to simulate what gears to press. Things are going well. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to simulate working the electronics. If you look here, this first solenoid is low, so I'm going to be holding low, and these are your 3 gears. So I'm going to try with first gear. So I'm going to hold low range, I'm going to push that one down, and that should engage first gear. I'm then going to try second, and then third, and then I'm going to go up to high, which is this one, and then 1, 2, 3. This one here's reverse. Right, so you probably want to stand back because I'm probably going to get covered in oil. When you're ready, Adam, just get her into drive. Get the centrifugal. Is that in gear? Nicely. I'm going to go for third. Oh yeah. That's taking some driving, isn't it? I'm going to have to move that out of the way. You ready? This is first. First is working. Nice. Second. Yeah. Try high range now. High range. First. This would be fourth now, wouldn't it? That'd be fourth. Ready on fifth. Fifth gear. And ready on top gear. Sixth gear. Right, now we need to see if we've got reverse gears. That is disgusting, but that is a good test. It's looking like, up to now, this gearbox has all the forward gears, but quite often, reverse is the one that fails. Don't ask me why, but that seems to be the one that fails. So if we
the widest band as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got the widest band, and reverse gear has these 2 gigantic pistons that work it. No idea why. Someone very clever will tell us why, I'm sure, but it's outside of our remit. So to work reverse then, I'm just going to hold him down, and it's just 1 and 2, isn't it?
I think it's 1 and 3.
Oh, is it?
Don't hold me to that. Just try 1 for now.
Okay. Right, you spin it up. Can't do, just at that speed. Reverse. That's working, isn't it? You want to try, try 3 then? Ready? That's working, isn't it? Yeah? Okay, let go. Dirty. That is a successful test. So that's the first one of our gearboxes that we've tried. And that does seem to be working as it should do. Now, obviously we tried that with no load on, so it's not quite a perfect test. However, we know when we put it in the tank, all the pistons and that side of things are working. The electric side isn't too difficult to swap out, so if I have trouble with that, I can swap that out for a known good one, but I believe that will work. So the next thing we're going to do is build this up as a complete gearbox. It's missing the calipers. We'll have to put a set of pads in it and give it a wash, drop the oil, change the oil, clean the filters, and try that in a vehicle. Definitely the only job on a tank that is easier to do than a car is change the calipers on the steering calipers. So that's like changing your steering rack, is it, on a car? Not even that hard to do, is it, even in the tank when it's fitted?
Huh.
There's just 4 of them. Now this gearbox looks a bit weathered, but if it was rebuilt in '96, I bet you by the looks of the discs, it's not done a lot, has it? I'm pretty sure that this was out of an Arv, where the engine from concrete came from. And it was running and driving and they just scrapped it, just cut it up. And there's nothing wrong with it. What a waste! But at least it's going to live on again. With the calipers now on, all we've got to do is we're going to lift it up with a forklift, drain the oil, take the filters off, give them a good clean, because you can see in the video when we tested it, it was quite milky, so there's obviously a little bit of water's got in there at some point. So we shall give them a good clean and put some brand new oil in it, fit it in the tank, take our loop test pipe off, and actually try it under load. But we are confident now. I know I didn't actually test the electric solenoids, but believe it or not, they're not that unreliable when they're clean. And I'm going to put £100 on to everyone that's watching that they'll work. This could be very expensive if it doesn't work. So I'm fully confident we're going to put this gearbox in, and in the meantime we're going to get the other 2 gearboxes, well, the gearbox that come out of it, rebuilt with the new gear bands that have now arrived. But because it's the first one we've ever done, confidence isn't massive. So I'd sooner put one in that we know is good, make sure the vehicle's okay, then we know that this gearbox is good. So we're not absolutely desperate for a gearbox and make silly mistakes. So now we're going to take the gearbox that we took to bits out of this tank. We're going to take it back to home farm, where we will actually restore it in there, because there's a lot more tools in there. We have very little tools here because we're going on the thought that someone's probably going to break in and steal them all. So we'll just have 1 shed full of tools, not 2. Time to get in the Rio. Right, so because we've got 2 sites now, and we've got gearboxes that we need to pick up from the home farm site and bring to the new site, we needed a cargo truck. So Seb has gone and got us a cargo truck. So we've got some errands to do. We've got concrete in next week. We've got gearboxes to move about. We've got bits and pieces to move all over the place. But the cargo truck is in winter mode now with its stagecoach back on. And that's no good for what we want to do. So we're going to take the back off. So it's just a flatbed. Because we've got rebar to pick up. We've got gearboxes to move. We've got all of this stuff here that we've got to file into our stores department. So let's get the roof off. See how hard it is to get the roof off this thing. All the back holding. Look where you're going. I am.
So Joe, how's the new truck?
Well, things aren't going that well. The new truck doesn't have a working fuel gauge. And what's happened is, I've ran it out of fuel, and now it's blocked up the feed pipe to the injector pump, I reckon. So we've got the Milwaukee compressor. I'm going to attempt to blow the fuel back, and then we will show you how brilliant and wonderful the truck is.
What are you doing now, Joe?
Well, I can't blow the fuel back because it's got a one-way valve in it. So I'm just taking the one-way valve off to check that that's okay, and then I'll try and blow the fuel back to the tank. One-way valve. Can we put it back on?
Yeah.
Take that fuel tank off and give it a clean and fix the is that belt? Yeah. Fix the fuel gauge.